in the past has talked to us about Section 79 insurance plans. He explained fantasy football. He's even spent some time discussing his 4 dogs. Today he's going to talk to us about an issue that is extremely he's passionate about. He hopes to persuade you to adopt some of those same feelings. Please welcome Jeremy.
Surrounded by a sea of enemies, Israel stands alone as a democracy in the Middle East, and we in America must support her. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, I am a Jew, and as a Jew, I love Israel as my ancestral homeland. I also love Israel as being a place of refuge for my people, so that we may never suffer another Holocaust. But I love Israel as an American as well, and you should too. Israel's enemies are our enemies. If you don't believe me, look for the videos online of the people dancing in the West Bank as the World Trade Center burned. Listen to the most recent speech, or read the most recent speech of Iran's President, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Mouthful.
Yes.
He recently accused the U.S. of orchestrating 9/11 itself for its own purposes. These people hate us, and they hate Israel. They hate both of us for the democratic freedoms we represent. Israel is a democracy, a true democracy. It set up its democracy a little differently than we do in the United States. Unlike here, where we vote for a specific candidate, in Israel, the people vote for their specific parties they want to win. So you end up with a lot more parties getting elected into the Knesset. For instance, if the ultra-Orthodox Jewish Party has 10% of the vote, they get 10% of the seats in the Knesset. If the Arab Party gets 7% of the vote, they get 7% of the seats. And there are Arabs serving in the Israeli Knesset. Arabs who have loudly cried for Israel's destruction as a Jewish state, as well as Jews who have loudly questioned Israel's military actions and its reasons for what it does. And they are protected from reprisals in Israel because of the freedom of speech, unlike in neighboring enemy countries, where if you speak out against the totalitarianism going on there, you could be dragged into the streets and shot, as has happened in Gaza and Lebanon. Israel allows freedoms for its women, full freedoms and equality for its women. You can be, a woman in Israel can be a doctor, a lawyer, a businesswoman, an Air Force pilot, a homemaker, or even prime minister. Did you know that Israel had a female prime minister in the 70s? A female leader before any female president in America. Her name was Golda Meir. Meanwhile, in Israel's enemy countries, they force women to wear certain types of clothes, to fill a certain role in society. And goodness forbid the woman commits adultery. Recently, a sentence of death was commuted in an Arab country because of the world outcry. She had been raped, but because she was married, she was tried for adultery and convicted. It was only because of the world outcry that that country commuted the sentence. Now, even being a predominantly Jewish country, Israel has very strong religious freedoms. They allow the buildings of churches and mosques within their borders. They allow free entrance into all historic religious sites for all peoples. Compare that to, for instance, Saudi Arabia, where you're not allowed to build churches or synagogues within the borders. In fact, you can be arrested if you are even caught praying if you are a Christian or Jew within Saudi Arabia. It is not allowed. Israel has made its share of mistakes. I won't say it hasn't. Israel goes to great lengths to avoid civilian casualties when it is targeting enemy combatants. The enemy combatants are often firing rockets from the roofs of hospitals and hiding within schools. Meanwhile, these rockets are targeted at homes. They send homicide bombers onto buses and into cafes to maximize civilian casualties. Now let's listen to the difference there. On one side, we have a minimization of casualties. On the other side, we have a maximization of civilian casualties. There can be no equivalence between these two actions, regardless of when we hear the cycle of violence in the media, which seems to put some moral equivalence. There is no equivalence between the accidental deaths of civilians during operations of war against enemy combatants and the purposeful slaughter of innocents. We must support Israel. Defend her when the media paints an ugly, unbalanced picture. Extol her values of democracy and freedoms to your friends and family. And above all, forgive her when she makes mistakes. Because if Israel falls, it means that evil has won. It means that an enemy that hates the freedoms America stands for has murdered our sister in democracy. We must not